Okay, the reason I feel that everyone, I mean the draft person or the assistant architect or even architect also to join this sharing session, not presentation sharing session, is because we still encounter a lot of basic issues of the drawing and the specifications and all that. So I put this effort to share my knowledge with everyone. So I hope that everyone can join and give their feedback also. Okay, so those who are not joining, I'm just assuming that they're already well equipped for this knowledge. Okay, today actually I'm going to talk DOS only, mainly all about DOS only, because I was going through this checklist and so for the next item that I'm going to talk about is the details. So I'm going to focus on these two items, which is the door and window. So as I was going the typical way that I did last week, so I don't think it's quite working. So I would go for presentation to really go into the basic knowledge about the doors and windows first. Okay, before we go into the details on and the checklist. Okay. The common and timber doors. So there are three types of timber doors. I mean the common doors. So the first one is a hardwood timber door, which is consists of a one-piece timber door and also engineered timber door. Okay, the flush door. Flush door, we have two things to take note on flush door, which is surface ply. I mean the surface itself and also the infill. Okay, so later on we go into this. And also the third one is a fire rated door, which we have 1 hour or 2 hour rated. Okay, so flush door we have surface ply, which we have plywood, high density fiber, laminated finish, cement board, and also molded door. So for the infill is hollow core, honeycomb, and solid timber core. So these two actually is will be specified hand in hand. So it is not two different doors. So when we specify a door, we should specify the type of surface and also the type of infill also. Okay, we go to the first one first. It's the hardwood timber door. Hardwood timber door, there are two types. One is the full hardwood timber door, which is the conventional ones. But it's very expensive now because basically the whole door will be consist of the fully hardwood timber. Okay, it's the same piece and same type of timber also, and then assembled into decorative timber door. So maybe it's the same piece of wood, but they may not have that kind of weave, from that timber. So they may cut into small pieces and then they assemble into this door leaf. Okay, another type is the engineered timber door, which is hybrid. Hybrid, the main material for this door is still hardwood. Some parts of the doors are incorporated with a mixture of other engineered wood and also thinner skin also. So for example, if you compare this one and this one, both are still hardwood door. Okay, but just that this one has a bit of hybrid where there's other types of timber on some parts of the door. Okay, second one is a flush door. So flush door is the most common one. Okay, today one I'm presenting is more on the project kind of door size, not for the customized bungalows and also the special projects and all that. Okay, so on the flush door is the most common one. So there are two things to note. One is the ply itself. Okay, so when we specify, we need to take note on the type of surface ply, which is the skin of it. Okay, secondly is the internal infill. Okay, so these two that we are going to take note of. Okay, surface ply, we have a few types. We have 5 types. Okay, we have 5 types here. So the first one is plywood. Plywood is the most common one. Okay, so natural, you have a natural wood texture on the top, on the surface, and then resistant to water splash. Okay, so used for bathroom and also toilet doors. Okay, normally. So plywood thickness normally is a 2.5, 3.6, and 5.2 mm. So the most common one is 3.6 mm. Maybe main doors you can use 5.2 mm. Okay, so high density fiber. Okay, this one is becoming more popular now. So because of the smooth surface. So last time they have this MDF or medium density. Now we have high density. So actually it's more comparable to plywood already. Okay, but if it's still exposed to water splash like the bathroom, then maybe we still stick to plywood. Okay, so HDF it's a very smooth surface and then it's consistent to paint on. So this one you may have a bit of you know, unevenness but you have this timber texture. This one when you paint on it, it's completely flat. Okay, so ply thickness is also there. Most common is 3.6 mm, still the middle one. I think it's a typo here. So main door may spec 5.2 mm, so a bit thicker. So what we are talking now is a surface. Okay, the third one is laminated door. Laminated door, which is this surface ply is a laminate. Okay, where we have Niato veneer, a melamine or vinyl laminate for this door. Okay, and also it gives a more contemporary timber texture skin, like this kind of you know, this kind of skin, like our cabinet and all that. We are using this type also. So no painting required so it's the surface is very consistent. Okay, so water and moisture resistant also, because it's for veneer may not be too much of water resistant because it's real real timber skin. But this melamine and also laminate, it is not timber, it's just a timber texture, so it's more water resistant. Okay, cement board is the it does not consist of timber content, so it's fully cement board. Okay, so fully water resistant and more durable under the sun. So normally used for flush door facing outdoor. Maybe you have your terrace house yard door facing outside, you know. So you may consider using the cement board. Okay, however, the edge strips are still timber. So even this ply here is a cement board, but keep in mind that the sides are all still timber. So it may reduce the damage, you know, the weather damage, but still a better choice, okay, if it's facing outdoors. So mild cracks possible, you know, because it's a cement board, like our plastered wall and all that, so it may occur cracks and all that. Okay, molded door. Molded door is a substitute to a traditional solid decorative timber door. So, like for example, this one. So nowadays, when we see this kind of door, it may not be fully hardwood anymore. So it is quite likely it is molded door. So what is molded door? When we have high density fiber board as well, and then the surface ply can be painted or veneer laminated. So it will be pressed to this frame patterns. Okay, so after I go into detail. Okay, just now I was talking about the surface ply. So there are 5 types. Okay, so next one is the infill. Infill, they are basically, today I'm going to talk about these 3 only. Okay, this acoustic door is a different topic. Okay, solid core, honeycomb, and also hollow core. Okay, hollow core I'm not going to talk about because it's just this hollow door only. Okay, so normally it's just the steel and also the frame, and okay, for normal doors, when we have one door leaf, when we specify for project, so we can only I mean it only needs one crossbar in the center. So I've encountered projects that US asking me how many crossbars do you need for a door. So normally you just tell them that you need one in the center, and also the lock plate, you know, to install the lock set and mungery. Okay, solid timber core. Okay, when it is specified solid timber core, it doesn't mean that the whole piece is solid timber actually, because it's very difficult to find a whole piece of solid timber. It's very expensive. Okay, so when it mentions solid timber core, it means that there are fractions and fragments of timber strips and all that. It could be timber strips of different species. So it's more like a leftover timber and all that. So they will just assemble and then arrange in a way that it will fill up this empty core here. Okay, so this is called solid timber core door. Okay, so they have crossband. Sometimes they crossband like that. Sometimes they have a crossband horizontally. Okay. So the next type is honeycomb door. Honeycomb door. Okay, this one is when you say honeycomb door, it's literally honeycomb door, just because of the conventional pattern of the cardboard. Okay, sometimes they do it in a diamond shape also. So it's literally a corrugated board. You know, it's a mesh of corrugated board taking stuff inside the door. Okay, so this is honeycomb door. So of course it is still better than the hollow core because it gives substance and it gives weight to this door itself. Okay, So I asked the supplier. So they mentioned that honeycomb door compared to hollow core is actually 95 ringgit per piece per door leaf Okay, but honeycomb is 100 ringgit. So it's just a 5 ringgit difference only, 5% difference only. So if possible, you can spec a honeycomb door. Okay, so because not much of price difference, but it gives more solid. It's more solid now. Okay, so next one is a laminated door. Okay, so sometimes you can see this kind of very nice door, very nice finished door. Okay, so actually okay, sorry, I'm talking about the skin now. Because I was introducing this supply surface and also the skin and also the infill. Okay, so now I'm going back into some examples of the skin itself. Okay. Okay, laminated door. So when you talk about laminated doors, normally it's close to ID doors. Okay, so of course architectural doors we can spec like that. Like our TMB projects, we also spec vinyl laminated door. Okay, so Nyato, it could be Nyato veneer. Okay, what's the difference between veneer and also laminate? Veneer is a real timber skin. You know, once you have timber, so you slice it into very thin sheets, and then you attach to this, you glue onto this door leaf. So it's more natural. Okay, but laminate is waterproof because it's not timber itself. Okay, so it gives a contemporary timber look like skin. So various timber texture selection, there are plenty of selections for you to choose. It's not only about your plywood texture, so you just paint on it on different color tones. So you have a lot of timber texture selection. So no painting required, and then water and moisture resistant for the laminate and melamine. Okay, so molded skin, we go into a bit more detail on this. Molded skin, as I mentioned, is substitute to those conventional hardwood door. Okay, sometimes you may want to have a bit of conventional or traditional design for your doors, so it may not be so dull. Maybe for some bungalow jobs and all that. Okay, so it's they're using high density molded panel door. Okay, made of HDF. Okay, compressed and molded to look like real solid door. So it is compressed to have this kind of patterns. So it can be painted or veneer lamination. This one is painted. You can see on the left it is painted, and the right hand side it could be laminate. Okay, so there are two types. One is a recessed frame where they compress it into these frames. These recessed frames. Another type is this shadow carving. Okay, this one a little bit more modern in a way, or it can be more flexible because it's fine. The lines are fine. Okay, so it's shadow carving or the recessed frame. Okay, so infill can be honeycomb or solid timber. So this one, as I mentioned, actually these two things are separate items. The infill and also the skin are two different things when you go and specify. Okay, I think I'll come back to this afterwards because of the sequence. Okay. Okay, so when we are specifying for the door, okay, there are two examples here. Say for common doors for bedrooms and bathroom for medium cost. So how do you specify this? Okay, so the red one is the infill. Okay, the blue one is the skin. So some of the specification can be as simple as timber flush door. Okay, timber flush door can be anything, as what I've presented just now. It can be a lot of combinations. So, for example, for this common bedroom and also bathroom medium. Yes.
I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No, I mean I can hear since just now.
I also can hear quite fluent.
Oh, can hear.
Can you hear not?
Oh, now I can hear.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so for this door, how do we specify? The red one will be infill. Okay, the blue one will be the skin. Okay, so when we specify, it's best to have these two elements stated in your description. So if you just put flush door, it could be any possibility. Okay, and then at times the supplier will give you the cheapest one. So when it arrives at site, when you're doing mock-up, it's not what you want, then it was what you expect. In fact, okay. So there will be VO if you want something more, if you want something better. Okay, so when you spec, you need to have these two items. So of course, start with the frame itself. Okay, then when you mention honeycomb HDA timber door in painted finish. Okay, so of course this one could be substituted with what, with hollow core, or with honeycomb, or with solid core also. So there are these three lah. Okay, but most commonly is honeycomb and also solid core lah. Okay, so HDF, which one? I mean, what are the alternative? HDF, plywood, and also okay, HDF and plywood are basically or cement board lah. This one. Okay, so door in painted finish. So what options do you have painted finish here? So you can paint it. You can have your laminated door. As mentioned just now, laminated door. You can have vinyl. You can have veneer. Okay, so these are the few elements that you must have now. For another example is this main entrance door for landed house. You want to have a more presentable entrance door. So how do you spec here? Normally, if timber door, you want it to have a timber frame as well to make it, have a bit of, framing effect from timber. Okay, so you can have hardwood frame. I just give this example to be a bit different from the other side now. Okay, so hardwood frame, plywood. Okay, now I use plywood lah. Okay, plywood solid core. So the solid core is the infill, and then the plywood is the skin itself. Okay, so skin, infill, and finishes. So skin, infill, and finishes. Okay, so plywood, solid core timber door. So meaning we're using solid core now. We're not using honeycomb. Okay, with veneer, or you can have vinyl laminate, skin finish. Okay, this one will come with architrave. This photo, so I just put in architrave, manufacturer's detail. Okay, so it's best that our description has these three elements. One is the skin, infill, and also the finishes. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear about what to specify and why do you specify and why do you choose that. Okay.
Sorry, I want to ask you.
Yes.
On the left side, right, the painted finish is actually to architect's detail. Supposedly, right?
Yeah. Of course, you can make it longer. Painted finish to architect selection, but the door is to manufacturer's detail. So you can structure the sentence in a way that it's more detailed.
But I feel because I feel that it has to be two separate parts. The first part is to manufacture detail is the door itself, but then when it comes to finishes, the finishes doesn't come together with the door. The paint usually is later lah. So maybe I don't know lah. Can be specified in this way.
Yeah, can we structure it like timber door to manufacturer's detail in painted finish to architect selection or something like that.
Something like that.
Okay, so of course paint you have brush paint and also you have spray paint. So for bungalow you want nicer smooth paint, you can specify spray paint. But spray paint is expensive. So that was the reason why I put HDF. HDF is smooth. So when you paint on it, it's still quite smooth in a way. Okay, so it depends on your own. It is part of the design as well. So if you know about this, then you can just combine yourself and do your own combination for the doors. Okay. So door frame, metal door frame. We have a few types. A few things to take note. So galvanized metal door frame thickness. So normally it's 1 to 1.2 mm for normal doors. Okay. So maybe for smaller, shorter door frame, you can use 1.0 or maybe common doors. Maybe the main doors you can use 1.2. But for your information, all contractors confirm they will give you lesser one. If you say 1.0, they'll give you 0.9. Okay. So they've admitted that also. They will give something thinner than what you are specified. So maybe in the beginning of the tender, before the VE, you can spec something better, 1.2 mm. Okay, so metal door frame for 1 hour fire door is 1.2 mm, 2 hours is 1.5 mm. Okay, so door frames to be single rebate or double rebate. Okay, normally I think everyone, if we do not spec, I think normally the supplier will give double rebate. So normally, like say for bedrooms and then for bathroom, it's normally just one door only, isn't it? So we can in our door details we can show single rebate instead of double rebate. Double rebate where we can use it, we can use this for the main door. So for example, right hand side you can have your original timber door here. Okay, so this one facing outside you can have a grill door. So it's a provision for future when the owner wants to install grill door, they can still install on the other side. So just my suggestion, okay, maybe internal doors you can use. If you're very sure that the door will not have another grill door or a double-sided door, then you just provide single rebate. You will look nicer. Okay, so double rebate for maybe for the main doors, entrance doors, entrance door. Okay, so there are two types of welding as well. So one type is actually there are more types, but the main one is to screw-on hinge or the spot welded. Welded meaning this is not screwed. Okay. This one you just weld on it. This one is screw on. So, but the thing is, once you have welded, if you have any damages and all that, it's very hard to replace that. So maybe screw on is a better choice where you can just replace the hinge by unscrewing it. Okay. So this one is in the typical common description. Also, 3 hinges for 2.1 meter high doors, and 4 hinges for 2.4 meter high doors. Okay, maybe 2.7 you can still use 4 hinges, but above that maybe you need to consult the door supplier. Hinges to be at least, this one all need to spec, like say if you just 2 hinges, they may give you MS hinges also. MS hinges is very cheap door. It's a very cheap hinges. Okay, so it's best that you spec SUS 304 stainless steel. Okay, of course 316 is the best, but we do not need to use that for project. So SUS 304 stainless steel is good enough. Okay, between this one you may put it somewhere, maybe in the note or in the specification, the standard. That's between door leaves and frame, meaning when you look at this door, so door leaf and frame itself is 5 mm. So meaning both sides and the top, it's less than 5 mm. It's scholastic standard. Okay, it's good to have also. Okay, again between bottom of door leaf and also finished floor level is 5 mm and I mean more less than 5 mm. Okay, so moving on to fire rated door. Actually, I learned a bit also on this while doing this sharing. So okay, the difference between I go on to the last sentence first. Architecturals need not to be too detailed on the fire door components. The material may vary for different manufacturers. So different manufacturers, they have different they may have different components for the doors. So as long as they get the SIRIM cert and BOMBA approval, then it is good to use the door. Okay, but just for info, what are the difference? So so for 1 hour door, okay, the frame can be hardwood or galvanized metal. Okay, for the door frame, it can be hardwood or galvanized metal. Okay, so the door frame is at least this size and then 1.2 mm thick, as mentioned just now. So door leaf surface can be of at least plywood. Okay, can be of plywood. Okay, infill with fire resistant insulations. Okay, and this one you have an intumescent strip on the side, this red color part here. Okay, so if you notice some of the fire doors, where the side they have something looks like the rubber on the side. So it is an intumescent strip. So it will swell up during when it's heated. So maybe when there's a fire, so when it's hot, and this thing will swell up and then we'll close the gap, so the smoke won't go out. Okay, door leaf thickness at around 45 mm at least. So door leaf finish can be painted, can be shed light veneer, laminate, as long as it has passed this SIRIM and BOMBA test, because they will take the whole door leaf to burn and then to get certified. Okay, so example of specification, as I said, do not need to be too specified on the too detailed on the components like all this. Okay, you just need to say only 1 hour fire rated door and ironmongery. Okay, with ironmongery as well. So some come with 6 mm thick wired glass fiction panel. So with SIRIM certification and Jabatan BOMBA approval to manufacturer's detail. Okay, this is good enough. Okay, 2 hours, the door frame must be galvanized. Okay, this one, it's not that one, it can be hardwood, but this one must be galvanized metal. Okay, must be metal door frame. Okay, so this door frame is 1.5 mm. Okay, so maybe when the suppliers give their shop drawings, you need to know what are the requirements. Okay, so door lift surface cannot be plywood anymore. Just now we were talking about at least plywood. So the common ones are fiber cement board. Okay, this one, the skin itself is fiber cement board and also magnesium oxide board, MgO board. Okay, for the skin. So infill also same thing with the fire resistant insulation. Okay, so the U-shaped mount steel capping. So sometimes when you look at the door, how do you know whether, just by looking at it, how do you know whether it's 1 hour or 2 hours? Okay, so just now this one we have this intermittent strip here. So for the 2 hours normally they will have this mount steel capping wrap around the whole door. Okay, so and then door lift thickness normally is declared at 52 mm. Okay, just now that one was 45 mm, so this is 52 mm. Okay, same thing also, you can have the same finishes also as long as you pass the CRIM. Okay, so this is 2 hours. Okay, I'm done with this timber doors. Okay, I'll just move on with the with next thing on the glass because there are a lot to cover also. Okay, so type of glass. Okay, this one is something very important also. What type of glass that do we know what type of glass to specify, and then what are their differences? Okay, type of glass. First thing is the most common one is the annealed glass and or float glass, we call it. Okay, so it's a molten glass. When the glass melts, so it will be cooled down slowly to room temperature. So it's just a normal process and a base product to form more advanced glass types. Those are cheapest and most economical type of glass. Okay. So heat strengthened glass is one step higher than float glass. Okay, so sometimes they call it semi-tempered or semi-toughened glass. Okay, the heating of the glass goes up to 650 to 700 and cooling it down quickly. Okay, so this one will strengthen the glass better. Okay, so it's roughly twice the strength of float glass. Okay, suitable for use in spandrel, vision window for added resistance. Maybe you may not want to use tempered glass for your unit windows and all that, but it may be on the 40th floor and it may be it needs to withstand high wind load and all that. So maybe you can consider using heat strengthened glass instead of a float glass, or if it's a if it's a cost concern, so you can use something in between these two. So tempered glass is also very common. So how they did it is to heat the float glass to 700 Celsius and then accelerated cooling, lasting on both surfaces. So when they have these different cooling rates between the inside, because inside is still very hot, and then outside you're cooling it at the same time. So increase this mechanical resistance to breakage. So it strengthens the glass. So it's 4 or 5 times stronger and safer than float glass. Okay, 4 or 5 times. So that's why this is so popular and so commonly used. So it is common to use in balustrade or similar applications. Okay, sometimes we have larger windows, larger screen, and also larger aluminum doors, glass door, then we can use the tempered glass. Okay, bricks in small and regular fragments instead of long sharp pieces. Okay, tempered heat soaked glass. This is an addition to tempered glass. So reduce and eliminate spontaneous breakage due to presence of nickel sulfide. Okay, so glass, you have some contents of this nickel sulfide stone. Okay, so by having this heat soaking process, it will be heat soaked in various temperatures. It's not only one consistent temperature, but it's various temperature. Okay, so it elevates the glass temperature to hold approximately 260 degrees Celsius for 2 hours. Okay, so highly recommended for frameless glass doors, shop fronts, and high-level balustrades. So maybe you have your outdoor baluster, which is exposed to heat, and then you want it to have more strength. Then maybe you should spec tempered heat soaked glass. Okay, instead of just tempered glass. All right. So the last one is laminated glass. So it's one of the safety glass, okay, safety glazing material by laminating 2 pieces of glass, okay, using heat and pressure. So there's this bonding agent as well. So when you look at the glass pack, when you look at say 6.38, 8.38, or 9.52, then you know that it's laminated glass. Okay. So they have this interlayer in between, which we call PVB lah. So commonly used is 0.38, 0.76, and 1.52. Okay. So maybe smaller glass you can use this, but larger glass you should use 1.52. This one we have to consult the supplier. So now increasing popular is SGP interlayer. I'm not sure about the price. I'm sure it's much more expensive. I mean, it's expensive, more expensive than PVB. It has a 5 test strength and 100 times of rigidity of PVB. So I think I'm not exposed to this yet. Maybe later on I can consult the glass supplier. Okay, so it can be used for skylight, high-level window balustrades also, and curtain walls. So sometimes when you see some shopping malls, glass balustrade, they may not use tempered glass anymore. For example, if it's for your own home, you can control the safety of your house, of your kids and all that, then maybe you can still use the tempered glass. Limited glass, say for shopping malls, atrium and all that, you know, so they have a lot of public people using and all that. So you are afraid of glass breakage. Of course, this glass breakage, you may not have you have dangerous of getting cut because of the small pieces. But the thing is that this glass will completely shattered, and then there will be no more barrier anymore. So laminated glass, at least you after it shattered, you will still have this barrier in place. Okay, glass breakage, there are few types. Okay, you can take a look at how do they break. Okay, anode glass and also heat strengthened glass, it will break in this way. So it is sharp and it's dangerous. So tempered glass, it breaks in small pieces. Okay, and also round edges. So it is not sharp. Okay, for laminated glass, as what I mentioned just now, you will break in this spiderweb pattern, but it will still hold in place. So until someone comes and change it. Okay. Okay, types of aluminium coating. So there are 3 types. Actually, there are 2 types. This one is a breakup from this. Okay, so natural anodized is the most common one. If you look at those aluminium, it's silver color, so it's natural anodized. They call it Na. So it's easy to maintain if you're not pale. Okay, and if you're not fade due to sunlight, but it's vulnerable to chemicals. This one's vulnerable to chemicals. So also the translucent coating may lead to color variation also. So maybe this batch and that batch could be different, slightly different. I mean, there's some shading. Limited color options also, normally matte and polished silver. That's it. And weld joints more noticeable because you once you weld and it's the end product ready. Okay, economical in Malaysian market. Okay, color anodized where they create pores and then they do this dye coating. Okay, to allow the color to absorb. Okay, the strength of the color depends on how the coating produced. So light pastel colors, maybe light colors, you have minimal anodizing. So if you want darker colors, then you need to have anodize. Okay, so very limited colors with organic acid anodizing. So organic ones are normally just these few colors only. Okay, so if you want to achieve like green, blue, possible also, but it's more expensive. You need to go through this sulfuric anodizing. Okay, this is getting more and more unpopular. Okay, because it's more work and then it's being replaced by this powder coat, more common now. Okay, of course you can have a wide range of it. You can have Jordan, you can have ICI to supply the paint. You know, yeah, I mean ICI and Jordan, you have so many color selections. Okay, so all of them can be selected for your window frame. Okay, and then it's more versatile. Okay, as you can do it matte, you can do it I think it's like and then you can do it texture color. So even if you do a dimmer pattern also possible, can do also, but expensive. Okay, colors between batches are consistent and uniform, so resistant to chemicals. So dents and scuff can be easily repaired, become more and more competitive and more common. Okay, a few more things. These aluminum windows and doors, I didn't go into detail. I think it has to be in the next section already. So casement window, these are casement window, these are top hung window, sliding window, folding window, fixed glass window, and glass door windows. These are the common ones. Okay, so it's not only that simple that which one do you want to use. It's not that straightforward. For top one window, of course, we use it for toilet and then places where you need a bit more privacy. But of course, there could be main windows that you're using top one windows also. But you need to be it needs to be retained at 10 degrees or 10 cm for safety purpose lah. Okay, but the ventilation is very limited. So maybe if you want to use for ventilated space, to ventilate the space, casement window might be the better option. Okay, so why I say maximum width recommended is 600 mm, because once you open fully 90 degrees, if it's more than 60 mm, it's very hard to close it back, okay, to put it back. Because say if you're at 30th floor and you need to really go to reach the say 700, 800 casement window, then it will be very dangerous. So it's best to keep at 600, 650. Okay. Sliding windows used at corridors where people walk on the external. Okay, so if you have this casement window along the common corridor, then it will be very dangerous. Okay, so when you select the windows, maybe you can be a bit more sensitive about the users and all that. Okay, folding windows not so common, but it could be specified also in some areas. Okay, glass windows also getting more and more common because of its aesthetics. It's getting more accepted really. So so it gives 100% ventilation and also easy maintenance. Okay, so this one can be considered. And also max width is 600. Sometimes they can go more because of the glass. Okay, they cannot withstand too wide. Okay. So common types of glass door, there are a few types. It's not very complete, but just to mention that there are two types here. Okay, so one is the frameless glass door where it uses clips and uses the spider clamps and all that to form this glass wall. Okay, so this is frameless glass door. This is aluminum frame glass door where you have framing. Okay, what's the difference here? For example, if you're facing somewhere more exposed to rain, splash and all that, so you may want to consider using this one because there are gaps between these frames here. Okay, so maybe unless it's sheltered or it's enclosed, then maybe you can consider using this lah. If not, you may want to use these areas with a high wind load and also prone to exposed to rain splash lah. So maybe you want to use this lah. Okay, so sliding glass door, those that you can see at the shopping malls and all that, and public buildings.
Edmund, 3 minutes more.
Okay, can. Okay, okay, this lock handle, there are two types. Okay, one is this very common one. If you do not specify multi-point lock, they will give you this. Okay, I'm sure that everyone is familiar with this and the issues of this. One is the brick. This handle will just snap off sometimes. Okay, easily snap off. Secondly, the screw may get loosened, and then the whole thing it doesn't click well. It doesn't click well. Okay. So one more thing is that this part here, it will scratch the window. It will scratch against the window frame and then scrape off the surface. Like for example, if it's powder coated, then the powder coat will just peel off because of this. Okay, so I think if it's possible and if it's allowed, budget allowed, you may want to specify multi-point lock system. Okay, so how does it work? It locks on the inside. For example, on the frame itself, there are 2 holes here, and then here you have two hooks here. So it just works like that. So on the outer side, it will just look very clean with just one handle, without all these flaps and all that. Okay, and it's safer. So this one you can just damage and break in easily. This one is very difficult because it's hidden. Okay, this one is a few. I think this one I'll talk in the next section because I'm still trying to get their okay. More about this topic. What else can we talk about? What type of glass and thicknesses should be applied in different areas? So, for example, 1.5 by 600 window. So what kind of glass thickness and what type of glass should we use? This one, I think I'll discuss further with the supplier and I'll share in the next section. Okay, so this is very important to decide which glass to use and what thickness.
Actually, is it better to get a supplier to like have a separate session on its own? Because glass
Yes.
is completely a topic on its own.
Yes, correct. Because why I'm saying this is because we have taken an situation in our tender process lah. Why? Because in our window door schedule, we need to specify all this before it can be being tendered. So normally
Or like the base lah.
yes, like a base. So at least we still need to have some kind of specification on the thickness and all that, because once we have done this door schedule, the QS will take it very seriously, put inside our BQ and the costing in ready, and it's fixed. Then after that, during tender, either the contractor the supplier will tell you, oh, you have under spec, in fact. So you want to upgrade it, it will cost, say, 1 more million. So architect will be in this situation whether you want to ask the supplier to just shut up and just assume that it's okay without VO, or
I
you want.
thought it's better to get the supplier in to help us
you can.
when we spec, right?
Yeah, because I'm lucky to have this supplier which is a good friend. So at least I can still ask him. So if you're asking about some suppliers which are those contractors they're not really willing to share unless they are being appointed lah. They can share with you a little bit of some basic info lah. Okay, but for very detailed ones, they may not want to share with you.
Yeah, that is what I faced for my Bangsar Hill Park project also. They give a bit and and then they give you a very general spec.
Yeah,
So-
because they're consultant, they are contractors. So they'll come in quite late, maybe 4 months after the award of your main building works, or 4 or 5 months later. So it will be too late and everything, the costing all could be too concrete already. You cannot change, and everything that you have under specified will be a VO. So at least we need to have a bit of knowledge, and then at least give a little bit more lah, maybe give a little bit more, and maybe at least it's not between tempered glass and float glass that kind of difference, or it's not that kind of 6 mm and 10 mm difference. So it will cost a lot more. Okay. So next thing is want to take note on typical detail for timber doors. Okay, I will show the timber door detail where we will put in one of the pages for the door window schedule. So maybe in the front it's more on the schedule itself. Maybe the last page we have typical details. Say if your building you have a sliding door, you have swing door, and you just put these two details, or you have a timber door with the bottom louvered panels, and you add this detail in also. Okay, so what to take note, and then also what to take note on aluminum glass door, the profile, the joints, the components, the seal, and also the wiggle. Okay, so what to take note and what to specify in. Okay, so roller shutter types and details I haven't presented also. And then types of ironmongery and how does it apply, and what type of ironmongery should we use for each doors. Okay, so double glazing glass also actually it's part of today's session, but it's not so common and I don't have much time to cover this lah. Low E glass, what is low E glass also, and also what is glass sinking. Okay, so curtain wall, of course, this one may not be relevant. Okay, this one, when there's curtain wall, I think quite likely there will be consultants already. So type of glass railing profile and application also, somehow it relates to glass railing also because it's all about glass. Okay, I think that's about it for today. It may, I'm not sure, is it very basic for everyone, but I think it gives a few very important points, like for example this one here, how do we specify, okay, and then to understand what type of glass and then what type of aluminum frames do we have in the common practice. Okay, any questions?
Christian? I want to ask, is it nowadays not common to have what architrave? Is it for the door frame?
Still very common. It's still very nice, isn't it? Still very common.
Oh, still very common now.
Architrave only when you use timber door frame,
Yeah, normally.
usually lah.
Door frame.
Yeah, that's why I want to know, a timber door frame got any specification you can share? Or not?
Yeah, I can share also in the next section.
Because one of the issue that we face during the Banzai Hill Park preparation for the door and window schedule is very funny. In our door schedule, right, we put in all these spec as per Edmund mentioned at our door description. But then I don't know why, maybe it's the standard title block that we got. Then on top there is one note, say the Architrave apply to all the door. So our QS come back, it's like, why you got metal frame, then suddenly you ask us, and then suddenly you got Architrave. Where is your Architrave? So just to take note, all the drafter and also assistant, because sometimes we keep using the same title block and templates, and we never read the notes that originally put at the title blocks. So sometimes it's not tally with our description. So all these things will cause a confusion to QS and also, or to the contractors. So I have to take note, because for our Banzai Hill Park, I think that time QS put in Architrave, and when we call tender, the contractor come back, where is the Architrave? Actually, we are using the metal frame, just because we forgot to take out the default notes on top. So it caused all this kind of confusion. So I have to take note.
Yeah. Because actually, intended drawings are once the first time, if you do it correctly, I think it shouldn't be much discrepancy, much like all these kind of thing like when you put the standard Architrave inside, but you do not really need it. So it's a bit embarrassing, or it creates this confusion. So I think if everyone knows what they're specifying, and you're aware of the material itself, then I think in future it can be 1 or 2 times only this kind of drawings. Even when the client asks you to propose VE, you can know at your fingertips, what above average, what your specified premium, and you can reduce, and then what has been what is already too minimum that you cannot cut anymore. So it's very important to have all this knowledge. So for today, it's only doors, and I think I'm only halfway through the door and window topic. So there are a lot of things to cover also. So it may not be so straightforward with this kind of description. Okay, but I will still put it in later on when I have time. I will still put it in to make this more complete. Anything else?
Already 10:30. Anyone got question? Faster ask. If not, we should end already.
I think we should, regarding the fire door, the door width, maybe put a spec with our standard, our office standard, to make it minimum 1 meter, 1 meter width.
Yeah.
The one after the door frame, we have clear 900.
And then of course, I'm sure I've not covered everything here, and there are more knowledge, and then which I've not known of. So maybe anyone who have encountered anything, or during the construction stage that they've encountered anything which is non-theoretical, which is more practical, maybe you can share, or I can add it in the slides.
Okay. Okay. So Edmund, I think that's all for your presentation today. You just put this slide in the groups. Then anyone or anything, just add in, because I think others also got meeting start soon.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Edmund. Very great sharing.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.